y'all? It's your boy Jay, and welcome to another episode of Comic Chaser. This episode is being recorded on May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. And yesterday, May 3rd, was Free Comic Book Day, so we actually have a little extra on top of our usual haul as well. We've got some of our Free Comic Book Day freebies, as well as our usual pull list, so I've got 5 books to cover this week on the main pull list, but we're also going to talk about some of the Free Comic Book Day freebies and some of the previews in them. So we'll start with those. So first one I want to talk about is the Fantastic Four one from Marvel. Excuse me. So I'm actually really hyped for this. Ryan North has been killing it. And I'm super excited to see Humberto Ramos on art. Long-time Spider-Man artist. He did a good chunk of Dan Slott's, seemingly never-ending run. Love you, Dan. I think your Spider-Man run was awesome. But, that's neither here nor there. I'm excited. Ryan North is still on it, so that's awesome. North has been killing it, and this feels like it's going to have more of a almost Star Trek-y Swiss Family Robinson Lost in Space type thing, because the first arc is called Fantastic Four Unknown Worlds, so it looks like they're just going to be traveling from world to world, exploring, doing space adventure stuff, and I'm hyped for it, man. I love these guys. The Fantastic Four is one of my favorite teams in all of Marvel. I've always loved the Fantastic Four. And I'm really happy that they're getting a new push. Obviously, they're rebooting the title or relaunching the title with a new number 1 because new movie's coming out, which is always a little bit annoying for the collector in me because it's by the time July comes around, let's see, it's May right now, and I think they just came out with 32 this week. So I think we'll get to 34, 35, and then they're going to reboot with a number 1, but, it is what it is. That's just the industry. But I am looking forward to this. I don't really have much to say about Giant Size X-Men. It just looks like they're doing a what if with having Miss Marvel involved in a lot of the iconic X-Men stories. Don't really care. I love Kamala, but again, not really that interested. But so that's pretty much it for this one. Moving on to the Ultimate Universe one. That is also mixed with the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. Very excited for this. We basically get the setup for Miles Morales' Ultimate Incursions. His sister accidentally gets herself sent to the 6160 because she messes with the blank card pass that the maker gave to Miles when he was like, look, we're the last survivors of this universe, so, if you ever want to stop by, here you go. Figured I owe you. And so Miles has to go get his little sister back. So that's cool. The other thing that I'm actually looking forward to, even though I'm not reading I'm not reading ASM, because I refuse to read ASM, because ASM just seems to be Marvel's rage bait comic. No offense to Joe Kelly. It's not Joe Kelly's fault. He's just doing his job. But editorial, I'm looking at you. ASM is just a comic that runs off of being passable and then farming engagement via rage bait. And I refuse to buy it. But I will buy it for this one instance because I am interested in the 3-way crossover that they're going to have between ASM, All New Venom, and Carnage, because I want to see how all 3 of them interact, especially will Pete find out about MJ being in the Venom suit? How will Pete react to that? Venom seeing Eddie again with Carnage, where is that going to go? I am very intrigued by it, so I will actually check that one out. But other than that, don't really care about Amazing Spider-Man, but I am looking forward to Ultimate Incursions. Alright, moving on, we have the DC All-In / Superman one for DC, and they do the whole like flip sides thing like they did for the All In special, which I think was pretty cool. I'm really looking. Speaking of Dan Slott, we were talking about Dan Slott earlier. I'm really looking forward to Dan Slott's Superman Unlimited. It's being drawn by Raphael Albuquerque, who drew American Vampire, the Scott Snyder series, which I absolutely love. So I'm very much looking forward to this, and I can't wait to see like what Dan Slott's voice for Superman is like. We get a little taste of it here, and I really like it. It's really fun, very fast paced, and I like that this feels relevant with Planet trying to combat misinformation being a big thing we're dealing with in today's climate. That's all I'll say here. It seems pretty cool. I'm really interested to see where this goes, and it's I added it to my pull list as soon as it was announced, and I cannot wait to see what happened in this series, man. As far as the all in side of things goes, this was really cool because it kind of just like showed you all the different aspects of the world with like Mirror Master as kind of a narrator, and I think it was a cool framing device. And so far I've loved everything out of the Absolute Universe. Martian Manhunter's still kind of at the bottom of my pile. Not to say that Martian Manhunter is bad per se, but like it hasn't hooked me yet. It took Superman like 4 issues to hook me, so we'll see where Martian Manhunter goes. I mean, it's going to be a 12-issue series, so like I'm going to ride it out to the end. Flash has been really good. Absolute Wonder Woman is my 100% favorite because I love Greek mythology so much. Batman is a close second, and Superman's right there behind it. Honestly, the Absolute series has been really like firing on all cylinders. Great job to everybody working on that. All right, last but certainly not least, at least on my pile of freebies, we have the Godzilla New Universe, the from IDW, and I am excited. This is the beginning of the Kaisei era of Godzilla with these 3 new series. The main Godzilla series written by Tim Seeley with art by Nicola. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it because I believe it's a Russian last name. And we also have Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone and Starship Godzilla. The main Godzilla series is a Godzilla series set in this new universe where essentially during World War II, Godzilla was awakened due to the setting off of the nukes, and so this is a world that's had to adjust to the presence of kaiju, and it's very interesting. They formed like G-Force, and there are people who have like become essentially mutants due to exposure to Kaisei energy, which is the energy given off by Godzilla and other kaiju. Very interesting stuff. The world is really cool, and I can't wait to see it more fleshed out. Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone feels like kind of like it's almost like an old Western hero or like a wandering samurai type beat, where a dude is kind of just traveling around, helping people on various adventures. Kind of like the first couple seasons, like the first season of The Mandalorian almost. It feels kind of like that. So that was fun. The art isn't as strong as the as the main Godzilla or Starship Godzilla, at least in my opinion. But the story and concept has me really interested. Now, you want to talk about an interesting concept? Let's talk about Starship Godzilla, the kind of like interstellar, intergalactic, like Godzilla series that looks like a straight up like 80s anime. Let me flip to it. Right, here we go, Starship Godzilla. This shit looks like an 80s anime, and I'm here for it. Like, it reminds me of like Outlaw Star, stuff like that. Grew up on Toonami on that kind of shit. And I'm really looking forward to checking it out. Look, the new Godzilla universe looks like a lot of fun, and this is definitely gonna be Where I jump on. I mean, I haven't read many Godzilla comics, but I'm a big Godzilla fan in terms of the movies and stuff like that, video games and all that stuff. So definitely gonna jump on here. And IDW has some really solid properties as well, like Turtles and all that stuff. So very much looking forward to seeing where Godzilla goes from here. All right, now we're gonna get into the main pull list, and like I said, this time we only have 5 comics to cover. And as per usual with these reviews, we will be. I do this in kind of a countdown style, and it's gonna be like not necessarily the book I enjoyed the least, but like the one that was just kind of like good, but like nothing like mind blowing, all the way up to my book of the week where I was just like, holy shit, this was amazing, kind of thing. So we're gonna work our way there, and we're gonna start with Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, issue number 1. And this is written by Chris Claremont with art by Cuserio. And I really like this. This is a direct sequel to Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, the original 80s miniseries where Kitty and Wolverine team up and defeat the ninja Ogon, who attempts to possess Kitty's body and basically implant his own skills into Kitty, which is why she's a badass ninja. If you read during the Krakoa era where she went ham and started just fucking taking out all those Orcus dudes, that's where she got those skills from. And this is a direct sequel to that. This takes place in the 80s, a little bit after the first adventure, and this is kind of just Kitty still trying to get her newfound skills under control, trying to train and refine them, and her still kind of trying to figure out what she wants to do with it, and her still kind of trying to cling onto a normal life. If you've read X-Men in the 80s, it's very much within that same voice, and Kitty does come off very bratty in here, but it's very accurate to the time period of where Kitty was in her life. So, like, I'm not mad at it. This was all just set up for real, but man, the setup at the end, I am really hyped to see where this goes. This looks like a lot of fun. It feels very nostalgic. The art, like, it is very modern, but it has those same kind of classic feels to it. I think especially with the colors as well. So I think if you are a fan of both characters, Kitty Pryde is probably my favorite X-Men character, because I started reading X-Men with the big pile of X-Men 80s X-Men comics from my uncle. So like I'm very much a huge fan of Kitty Pryde, and of course, who doesn't love Wolverine? So, like, I am gonna definitely like checking the rest of this out. I have the original series somewhere in my closet in a long box somewhere, but I absolutely love it. And so, I feel like this was definitely a worthy sequel and a very solid beginning. But like nothing to write home about yet because it's just a setup. We haven't gotten to like the meat and potatoes of the series just yet. We just started. So overall, though, I think if you like the original, you'll definitely want to pick this up. All right. Moving on to Radiant Black. I believe this is issue number 33, written by Kyle Higgins. I really enjoyed this issue. We're really starting to pick things up. And essentially, right, Marshall reconnects with his mom, and like it turns out his mom is part of this weird pseudo rapture cult that is like obsessed with the Catalyst, and they feel like the Catalyst are actually beings from heaven, and they see Radiant Black as the Antichrist, which makes things super awkward for Marshall. So yeah, that definitely puts a wrench in him, kind of repairing his relationship with his mom. But I also really like seeing him and Mrs. Burnett Nathan's mom like bond and kind of help each other out because of course Mrs. Burnett lost her husband. Nathan's off to California again, and so like they're kind of just like serving as a confidant for one another, and I think it's really sweet. Meanwhile, we like Marshall ends up fighting this like werewolf bat thingy, which I think is really cool. And because it's a weird supernatural creature, of course, we get a cameo and appearance from Rogue Sun, the like supernatural superhero of the Massive Verse, which I still haven't checked out. Rogue Sun Volume 1, I need to check it out. But I have like Rogue Sun and all the like different cameo appearances I've seen him in throughout Radiant Black and stuff. And it seemed pretty cool. Uh, but like opening up this world more, kind of really starting to feel the like after effects of the Catalyst War and all the interdimensional stuff kind of solidify. It's been good. This rebuild era has been off to a very strong start, honestly. I've really enjoyed it. So if you are a fan of Radiant Black, definitely check it out. All right, moving on to Fantastic Four issue number 31. Written by Ryan North with art by Smith. I think it's Chris Smith. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So essentially, right, Ben no longer has his powers, and we discover actually, and this was brought up a long time ago, back when, Reed and Sue and the kids were off in the other universe. That like when one person in the Fantastic Four loses their powers, all of their powers start going on the fritz, and so it starts happening to Johnny and Sue and Reed as well. Also, can we talk about I didn't really bring it up much because I haven't seen Johnny that much lately. I forgot that Johnny had this mustache, and I'm not a fan of the mustache on Johnny. Like if we're gonna give Johnny facial hair, give Johnny a full beard. Otherwise, like it just feels weird. Johnny with a mustache just feels off to me. I don't know what it is. But that's just me, maybe. But so basically they're trying to recreate the experiment, and then they're like, well, we can't just stumble upon cosmic rays here. And then they come up with this idea of like, well, there's a multiverse out there. There's plenty of universes where the Fantastic Four are just starting out. Maybe if you just like cloak yourselves and like kind of participate in their origin, you'll be able to bathe yourselves in cosmic rays and get your powers back. And so they try it over and over and over again. Nothing happens until they decide, we're going to just try and travel back in time in our past, and we'll see if it works. And it does manage to work for Ben. Ben does get transformed back into the thing. However, Ben absorbing a majority of the cosmic rays also prevents past Ben, past Sue, and past Reed and past Johnny from getting enough cosmic rays for them to trigger their transformation / powers. So that effectively wipes the Fantastic Four out of existence. Now, was this part of Doom's plan all along? Honestly, wouldn't surprise me at the end of the day. But holy shit, what an ending. That was crazy. I wonder how they're going to get themselves out of this one. Or how Ben's going to have to get them out of this one. Because obviously Ben's going to be the only one who remembers all of this. Because, he's the one that got his power back. And how is that going to work? Because, like, there's a Ben that doesn't have his powers. And there's the Thing who is the Ben from our timeline. I'm not even going to try to like pull that one apart because time travel gives me headaches. But overall, great ending. I can't wait to see how this is followed up on. All right, next up we have Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 16. I believe this is written by Jonathan Hickman and art by Marco Cicchetto. I love this. We get to see the origin of Mysterio, and a majority of us were right. So many of us were like, Mysterio's Gwen. Mysterio is definitely Gwen, and that is 100% an illusion. Harry is not dead. And we were right. We were right. Gwen is part of like a secret society, like of I want to say magic users, honestly, because like the symbol that's on their forehead looks very similar to like the Eye of Agamotto and shit. So like, is it all illusions, or are they casting magic? Who the fuck knows? Maybe we'll find out more in the next issue because we'll get to find see Harry kind of now that he can operate from the shadows because everybody thinks he's dead, try to dismantle the Kingpin's empire and shit. So we'll see where that goes. But it's really fucking interesting to see kind of this version of Gwen, and to like now we're gonna have Mysterio as an ally for Spider-Man? Question mark. Oh, this is gonna be really cool. What a good twist! What great art, and I love that we actually get to see kind of the fleshing out of Harry and Gwen's relationship, and like all their backstory and stuff. And I can't wait to see more of this. Ultimate Spider-Man continues to be the best Spider-Man comic on the shelves today. But it was not my pick of the week. But my pick of the week was indeed Spider-Man related. Because, holy shit, Spider-Man, Godzilla vs. Spider-Man, issue number 1. This one was set in the 80s, and it was written by Joe Kelly with art by Nick Bradshaw, and boy oh boy was this fucking awesome. So of course this is set in the 80s, so it's fresh out of Secret Wars. He just brought the black suit back, still trying to figure it out. He doesn't really know that it is a symbiote or a living life form or anything like that. He just thinks it's an alien fabric. Blah 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 blah. Godzilla attacks, and when Godzilla roars, it's a powerful sonic attack, and so it blasts the symbiote off of Pete. And then the symbiote, it does what you think is going to happen, and the symbiote bonds with Godzilla, and then, like, Null tries to take it over. We get a little bit of that. Pretty fucking sick. And then Pete, using his ingenuity, uses these Shockers vibration gauntlets to blast Godzilla to deal with the symbiote, and that was pretty awesome. But then by the end, the symbiote does end up attaching itself to Eddie Brock, but this symbiote has had time both attached to Godzilla and to Spider-Man, so this Eddie Brock becomes God Venom, and I'm like, holy shit, I want more of this. Which is literally the thing I've said for every single one of these, like, Godzilla versus one-shots, but man, that was so fucking cool. This was awesome, dude. Non-stop, like, great action from start to finish, and I love the petty, catty banter between MJ and Felicia. I love MJ just trying to be, nah, Peter, I know it's you. Like, you don't gotta, you don't gotta pretend. I know it's you. Like, I can explain later, but, like, we have more pressing matters. This was a lot of fun. Such a blast. Beautiful artwork. This was really, really fucking cool. And totally deserves my pick of the week. These Godzilla one-shots have been knocking out of the park. I believe it's the 90s next month. So that means we're gonna get the 90s X-Men, baby! Oh, this is gonna be cool. I cannot wait to see how that plays out. I'm so excited, bro. And we all know 90s was like peak X-Men era, so cannot wait to see how the Marvel's Merry Mutants takes on the King of the Monsters and whatever other foes happen to come across. But until then, Godzilla vs. Spider-Man was my pick of the week. But let me know what you guys thought about these comics in the comments down below. Did you guys pick up anything on Free Comic Book Day? I also picked up a couple trades on sale. I picked up the first volume of Ultimate Black Panther, and I picked up the compact comic volume of Green Lantern Far Sector. Once I get through those, I'll probably do like a kind of rapid fire review of both of them, either in the next episode or the episode after this, or like I'll either do it in the episode after this or the following one. But it all depends on how quickly it takes me to finish reading them. But overall, what a great week of comics! What a great way to start May off. And yeah, let me know all your thoughts and feels in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn those bell notifications on so you don't miss a brand new episode of Comic Chaser or a new episode of the Channel Chasers podcast. Thunderbolts did just drop recently as of the recording of this video, and we will be covering that movie soon. So if you want to hear my thoughts as well as my good friends' thoughts about it, definitely stay tuned to the channel for our review of Thunderbolts. But until next time, this has been your boy Jay, and I hope you've enjoyed this quick shot of comic culture, and I provided a good enough chaser for y'all. Until next time, peace.